Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Okay. I kind of like standing up. Can I do that? Hey, I can. Okay, let's do it. I like to stand sometimes. All right, guys. What is the Supreme Court? Someone said after I was checking out some CGP Grey Supreme Court shenanigans of the U.S. that I was told Vox. Vox. I was told to check out the UK Supreme Court. Vox and Vice. I need to tell you about Vox and Vice. I do not like their political opinions. Vice is very far into a political ideology that I don't like, but they make amazing, phenomenal documentaries. Or Vice, especially Vice and Vice News. They like there comes a certain point where I don't care what kind of stuff you spew that I don't agree with. If you make a damn good video kind of documentary, like going into very dangerous places with superb editing, just I don't care if you keep up the quality of the videos. I don't care how far politically you go. Amazing channels. Let's go. UK Supreme Court. I have more subs. What is the Supreme Court? Let's do it. Original link to the video, top of the description. My name is Connor. Hi. Link to the Discord is also in the description. Please join. Makes it easier for me to interact with you, get to know you. You know, what's the worst that can happen? If you don't like it, then you can leave. Let's do it. Let's learn. Phones away. Even if you're watching on one, toss it. Toss. Tosser. What is a tosser?
I'm Stacey Dooley, and I'm here today in London to find out a bit about the highest court in the land. It's called the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom. Well, here we are. The building has been here for 100 years, but the court itself is actually quite new. The guys who are now sat in there used to be based over the other side of Parliament Square in the House of Lords. The Supreme Court is the highest court of appeal for all civil cases in the whole of the UK and for all criminal ones, except for those in Scotland. It used to sit in the Houses of Parliament, and the country's top judges, known as law lords, not only presided over cases there, but were also members of the House of Lords. But why was it necessary to move everything over here?
Sorry, what?
Presided over cases there, but were also members of the House of Lords.
The Whigs.
But why was it necessary to move everything over here? To find out why, I'm going to ask one of the Supreme Court Justices, Lord Kerr. So why was the Supreme Court established as a separate entity?
A fundamental principle of separation of powers is a cornerstone of our Constitution. And what that means is that there should be a division of responsibility between those who make the laws and those who are responsible, like me, for adjudicating on difficult points of law.
Oh, she's very pretty. Very nice eyes. What was I gonna say? I got distracted. Jesus Christ, I need to get out more. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so the United States Supreme Court is actually older than the UK Supreme Court?
And those who are of responsibility between those who make the laws and those who are responsible, like me, for adjudicating on difficult points of law. And the Constitutional Reform Act of 2005, by establishing the Supreme Court, made that expressly clear.
The old Middlesex Guildhall building was chosen for the new site, and eventually the new Supreme Court of the UK
Hi, Elizabeth.
opened in October 2009. As a result, the Law Lords became Supreme Court justices.
And I will do right to all manner of people after the laws and usages of this realm.
When the Law Lords sat in the House of Lords, it wasn't very accessible to the public. It was pretty difficult
Guys, I'll
to
be
help
so
people
happy because so much of American stuff I've learned growing up in America. You think that all of the constitutional amendments and the not the Ten Commandments, the Bill of Rights and all of the rights we have. I'm speaking just for me. Maybe I was a terrible student. Maybe other areas. I wasn't in a bad school. It was a public school. Public school here isn't what a public school there. It's not a private school, but it was a good public school with a lot of funding and whatnot. And what the heck was my point?
House of Lords, it wasn't very accessible to the public.
This realm.
When the Law Lords sat in the House of Lords, it wasn't very...
After the laws and usages of this realm.
When the Law Lords...
Oh, right. I kind of grew up thinking that all of the amazing freedoms we have and the amazing laws and justice and, honorable code of laws were all uniquely American, and like America is the country that finally doesn't go from top-down rule and has all these cool things to make sure the public have a say. And then I learned that 90% of the stuff was just taken from British law. And so was this one thing where the British actually copied American governance in creating the Supreme Court? Because that, just give me a win somewhere, okay?
Lords sat in the House of Lords, it wasn't very accessible to the public. It was pretty difficult to help people get their heads around what actually went on there. And as a result, very few people ever sat in the public galleries.
I'm rewinding so much. Man, I am such a freaking simp.
Accessible to the public. It was pretty difficult.
What? I don't get it. Where's the So did they refurbish and change it from green benches to separate red ones, and they got rid of the thing in the middle where they go to talk? And where's the order guy? Please, if there's ever an opening, guys, please let me get the job of order. Where is he? And I would love to have that job, guys. If there's an opening, I will go for free.
Difficult to help people get their heads around what actually went on there. And as a result, very few people ever sat in the public galleries. I wonder if things have changed with the move here.
Working in the House of Lords was super in many ways, but here the working conditions are much better. We have much more space for our staff. Perhaps more importantly even than that is that we're much more accessible to the public. We have lots of visitors. We have a very good exhibition centre. We have extraordinarily good reception staff. They explain to their visitors what's happening in the court that day. They conduct tours, and generally we find we're a very popular tourist attraction.
I don't know what I expected before I came here. Probably that it was all going to feel a bit unfriendly and imposing. But being here, you really don't get that feeling at all. What you do notice, though, is that the courts here don't look anything like the courts we're used to seeing on the telly.
Guys, I haven't, what do you guys call it, shag? I haven't had intimate intercourse in like 6 years. And so I was walking down the beach, and I started to get excited at like a really curvy piece of wood. And I think I need, that's a good sign that I need professional help.
So how does it all work here? For a case to be heard here, it needs to have gone through a whole load of different stages before it reaches the Supreme Court. A typical civil or criminal case in England or Wales might go through 3 other courts before it reaches the Supreme Court.
Same in the US.
A case from Northern Ireland will go through different stages within their legal system.
Magistrate.
as will cases from Scotland, although criminal cases from Scotland can only reach this court in certain circumstances. The High Court of the Justiciary is usually Scotland's highest for criminal matters.
But is the High Court in England's, the highest court in England, is that still the highest court overall, including in Scotland?
Judiciary is usually Scotland's highest for criminal matters.
I like standing.
The judges here also serve as the highest court of appeal for a whole load of other countries in the Commonwealth and for British overseas territories when they sit as something called the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. This used to be something the Law Lords did, as well as sitting in the House of Lords, and it used to meet at Downing Street. So when the Supreme Court was set up here, it made sense to bring the Judicial Committee over so they could work alongside it.
Is that King George III right there? Take that down.
Set up here, it made sense to bring the Judicial Committee over so they could work alongside it. And they're now based here in Courtroom 3. Only certain cases make it as far as the Supreme Court. To do so, they must address a wider issue of importance to society. This can be clearly seen in some of the most high-profile cases to find their way to the House of Lords, or more recently, to the Supreme Court.
That's exactly what happens in the US.
Hale, another of the Supreme Court justices to the Supreme Court. I've come to meet Lady Hale, another of the Supreme Court justices, and the first woman to be appointed to the role, to find out a bit more about how the court works.
Well, we're an appeal court. That means that we don't hear the witnesses, we don't decide who's telling the truth, we don't decide what the facts are. The parties come to us with a set.
The point of the Supreme Court, and now I'm getting into American politics, the point of the Supreme Court in America is to leave your personal opinions out. Your job as a Supreme Court justice is not to do what, say, 90% of America, 99.999999999% of Americans want something to remain. That doesn't have any bearing on the Supreme Court's decision. The Supreme Court says, I don't care what the public thinks. That's not my job. The public can go speak to someone else. I don't need to take your opinion. Go away. The Supreme Court is to, when certain things get up to that level, to decide if they are constitutional, is to look at the Constitution and interpret it, not to whatever you want, but to see if it looks in the Constitution. And I hate nowadays where people think like, how dare the Supreme Court do something that 80% of the country doesn't like? That's not their job. You don't know what the Supreme Court is. The Supreme Court is away from politics. There's a reason in the U.S. the Supreme Court has no term limits. It's because whoever they're appointed by, they do not have to worry about elections. Because if they did have term limits, then they would have to think politically about their decisions. And that is the worst thing that they can do. The job of a Supreme Court justice is to know the Constitution, be a well-versed, intelligent lawyer, and when something comes up to you, leave your opinion out of it, throw it in the trash, throw whatever. If 100% of the country thinks something should happen, and you look at it and you see it's unconstitutional, it's not happening. The Supreme Court is not a democracy. So that's my take. If you are mad that the Supreme Court is doing something that 90% of Americans don't like, then you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Set of facts, and they ask us what the law is. We only choose to have the cases which involve general points of law, which are important to a large number of the population. For example, we were hearing a case which is all about what responsibilities the Ministry of Defence owes to the soldiers fighting in Iraq for the equipment that they sent them out to fight with. What could be more important than that?
And why are these points of law so important?
Well, once we have decided what the law is, then everybody else has to follow it. So the case about the army, it comes up to us, we decide what the responsibilities of the government, if any, are. It then goes back to the...
They don't look at how much people want something. They go to the government. I can't stress this enough. 100% of the people want something Supreme Court. The Supreme Court justices is supposed to say, I don't care what the citizens think. I don't care. My job is to interpret the Constitution, see if in front of me what it is, and accordingly leave your decision. I hate that argument. How can the Supreme Court go against what 80% of Americans want? You don't know what the Supreme Court is. They're not supposed to care. They don't care what you think. They look at the Constitution. I'm getting triggered.
The trial judge who will apply what we have said when he comes to decide the case. But not only that case, every other case that raises the same point, the judges in the courts below us have to do what we have said the law is. It's called the doctrine of precedent.
I wonder if how the Supreme Court works.
Precedent is weird, though, because how much time has to go by for something to be considered precedent?
Out of the courtrooms, which
Precedent.
I wonder if how the Supreme Court works affects the layout of the courtrooms, which looks very different from what you might expect them to.
You'll see there isn't a witness box, there isn't a jury box, there isn't even a press box, because anybody can come in and sit at the back and listen to what we're doing. We're all round a table, so the justices are in a curve on one side, and the barristers and the other lawyers and the parties they represent are in a curve on the other side. And we try and make it feel like a general discussion of these very important issues.
I'm going to get so many dislikes on this video. I'm going to go for a record. I think my record for dislikes is like 70% or 75%. And I think I'm going to beat that here. But I don't care.
Like
Given my opinion, if you don't like it,
general
I'm just
discussion of these very important issues.
Before we finish, I also want to ask Lady Hale why there aren't more women
Sorry,
justices.
I didn't mean that. Don't leave. Just, hi.
Before we finish, I also want to ask Lady Hale why there aren't more women justices.
Why there aren't more women is something of a mystery. But there aren't a lot of women High Court judges and Court of Appeal judges. And that's partly because there aren't a lot of women at the top of the legal profession who are thought to be eligible to become judges.
And do you hope that changes? Can you see more women in the future?
You bet I hope it changes.
Yeah, me too. Now, it's very well talking to the justices, but what you've got to try and remember is that they are at the absolute top of their profession. And it could take someone like you or I up to half a lifetime to reach that level. Which makes me wonder, is there a quicker way to get to work here? I've come to meet some people who should be able to tell me. Okay, so you guys, your professional title is a judicial assistant.
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit about what that involves?
The main
I find that a lot of judicial assistants, especially ones that were judicial assistants to Supreme Court justices, often, apply for the job of Supreme Court justice.
What we do is we sit in court and we listen to a lot of argument every day. We research for our justices and we discuss cases with them. And another thing we do is we summarize cases and put them into forms so the public can see what's going on when they come to court.
So do you guys work directly for the justices?
There's 8 judicial assistants and we're spread amongst 12 justices, so you either work for 1 or 2 justices.
It's a great learning experience for us. The justices are very generous with their time, explaining things to us.
They are 12 of the best legal minds in the country, which could be daunting, but also it's a
I'm such a
fantastic
simp.
opportunity to learn.
I am the
legal
biggest
minds
simp on this planet.
in the country, which could be daunting, but also it's a fantastic opportunity to learn from people who are at the top of the profession that you aspire to reach.
You know what? I think being a judicial assistant sounds great. It really is so interesting what these guys do. It's been really fascinating having spent time here today. And I think it's normal to feel a bit overwhelmed initially, but once you find yourself here, the building itself is beautiful. The people are really very friendly. Yourself here.
The Supreme Court of the United Kingdom was opened by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on 16th of October 2009. And so what did you do prior to 2009 where there were certain cases that couldn't be decided by local municipalities? I'm sure it just kind of ended there and you went with what their decision was.
Itself is beautiful. The people are really very friendly and there's just a lovely atmosphere all round. I have had a really great time today on my visit, and of course you yourself can come and check it out. You can either book yourself in on one of the tours, or you can just pop down and come and sit in and listen to one of the cases. You can find out all about how to visit and learn more about the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom by going online.
Awesome video. I know I went a bit more of a rant, but it can be an experiment. See how many people sub or unsub, and I give my opinion. If you don't like it, then you can continue to watch and stuff, but you can always do what you want. I love you guys. If you made it to the end here, I hope you're all doing well. I really do. If not, you know what I say. Chin up. Don't walk like this. Walk like this. Walk like this. All right? Everyone on this planet is a human just like you, and you have a right to happiness just like any of them. Bye, guys.